Gabor Mate's little short videos about his comments about women being 4 times more likely to die in marriage when they suppress their feelings. And I have certainly seen this in my own life, and I know that I was on that path myself as a codependent, as somebody who was raised by a mom who shut up when my father came home, who taught us to stuff our emotions. I was raised by a mom who was very angry, but bit her tongue and had, pierced lips all the time, and was terrified to express her true feelings around my father. My father was, I would say, a bully. I would say that if he was honest with a psychologist or a psychiatrist, they probably would have diagnosed him as narcissistic. He was a tough guy, and my mother was afraid of him. And so I'm listening I love Dr. Gabor Mate, and he's making this claim that women die, are four times, I believe, 4 times more likely to die who stay silent during marital spats. So I thought, you know what, let me just search the internet, and where is he getting this information from? I found it. So the name of the article is Women Staying Silent in Marital Spats, a Killer for Women. So this is a true wake-up call. It's been my hypothesis as somebody who was raised to shut up as a child, to not have feelings, who got the message early that feelings were bad. Some feelings were good as long as you were smiling, even though you were miserable, that was good. So disowning your feelings, check, that was good. Dissociating, check. Diarrhea, check. It's better for you to have diarrhea than tell me how you really feel. Crying was not allowed. Saying no was not allowed. You weren't allowed to have a boundary in our house. Come over here and I'll give you something to cry about. That's kind of the way we were raised. And so, yes, I could see how even as an adult 21, I met my ex-husband, 23. I was married, 24, I just turned 24, and I had my son. But that whole time thinking I don't have a right to express myself. I don't have a right to tell the truth. And then developing all these sorts of autoimmune issues, and struggling with asthma, and struggling to breathe, like seriously having rashes all over my body. They thought was cancer, being tested for lupus and Lyme's, and it was crazy. All to decide, or actually be told, that this was stress related. Like, what? The last breakthrough I had was when a doctor said to me, you better listen to your body because your body's listening to you. And I thought, I'm supposed to be listening to my body? Like, what? Aren't I supposed to not be listening to my body? Like, my entire life, dude, I've been told by my parents, my husband, and his family that my feelings don't matter. Now you're telling me to listen to my body? Did not compute. But I was so afraid of dying because I was so sick that I thought, wait, could my body be listening to my mind, albeit subconsciously? Yes. And so I wanted to share this because I'm so excited about it. And it confirms everything that I've ever believed. Codependency can kill you, because codependency is a maladaptive emotional reliance on someone else to feel safe, or for a sense of identity. You relying on something outside of yourself for a sense of self. That has to stop. Now, that will only lead to more insecurity and more vulnerability. And to make matters worse, specifically talking about women here, to make matters worse, if you are a codependent woman, lack a sense of self, you are insecure, you doubt yourself, you are so much more likely to attract someone into your life who is going to exploit your need to feel seen, exploit your lack of porous boundaries. You're going to be exploited. Okay? So this is serious information. I would say it's information that can save your life. And we have to start taking this way that we are, this codependent way that we are, very seriously, because it is costing us our lives. You will get sick. My mother ended up with dementia. She ended up having 2 strokes. She was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. And through a very, I would say, a very quick moment of clarity in the nursing home, she looked at me, she said, I know why I'm here. And I said, why are you here? And she said, a person can do too much. And I thought, oh my God, Mom, 2 strokes, multiple sclerosis, like you're in a nursing home, wheelchair bound, and now you get it. Now you understand you did too much and you didn't take care of yourself. And you fawned after this man who was so selfish. And now it's too late. You ain't getting out of that wheelchair. You're not. And she didn't. She died with dementia, with kidney failure. And that did not have to happen. And I watched my mom die a little bit every day with codependency under the thumb of my father. So you can look it up yourself. This article is titled Staying Silent in Marital Spats, a Killer for Women. So it was dated August 12th, 2007, written by Anne Harding out of New York, Reuters Health. Women who force themselves to stay quiet during marital arguments appear to have a higher risk of death, a new study shows. Depression and irritable bowel syndrome are also common in these women. Such self-sacrificing during conflict may provide an evolutionary survival advantage long ago. Okay, so think about our early ancestors shutting your mouth around the caveman in the group. You know, he's gonna beat you over the head with a bat or a club. You know, not speaking up secured your survival. Today, it's killing you. So such self-sacrificing during conflict may have provided an evolutionary survival advantage long ago, and unfortunately may be a necessity for women in abusive relationships, so says Dr. Elaine E. Eaker of Eaker Epidemiology Enterprises in Maryland. Eaker and her colleagues found that over a 10-year period, the most striking finding was that women who self-silenced, so you're being yelled at, you're being gaslit, you're being projected upon, you're being accused of things that you're not guilty of, you're being minimized, you're being devalued, and you are pursing your lips and you're stuffing everything, that we're talking to you. These women who self-silenced were 4 times more likely to die than women who express themselves freely during arguments. So we're not talking about them being happy or unhappy. We're talking about the women who are self-silencing, who are not saying anything back. So you have, let's say you have one sister who just shuts up and eats it and eats it and eats it. And then you have another sister who's like, no, I don't like that you did that. I don't like that you're pushing me around. I don't like that you said you were going to be home at 5 and it's 6 o'clock. I don't like that, you know, like you didn't call me, right? Whereas the first sister is like not saying anything. Or she may have said, you know, I thought you said 5 o'clock. And now she gets it. Now she's getting all the coercive control. Now she's being gaslit. Now she's being guilted. Now she's being shamed. Now she's being called a dummy because she should know that her husband hit traffic on the way home. She should know. She should have that meal on the table anyway if he's an hour or 2 hours late. She should know, right? That's narcissistic abuse. So the sister who is eating that versus the sister who is like, hey, don't talk to me that way. You know, this is what's going on. And you shouldn't talk to me that way. And I don't like that you're pushing me around. So both sisters could be equally unhappy. What this article is proving over a 10-year period is the woman who doesn't express herself in a marital situation or a marital spat is 4 times more likely to die than the sister who's like, hey, knock it off, or who's just arguing back. Because it's about expression. Suppression and repression kill you, okay? The current study is the first, Eaker says, to look at behavior heart disease, and mortality in the context of marital relationships. While many studies have looked into marital status and quality and heart disease, she added, we had some other questions that I think get more at the dynamics of how people really feel in a marriage, what actually happens in a marriage. Eker and her team looked at 3,682 men and women participating in this Framhen offspring study. Most of the women were in their 40s and 50s at the beginning of the study. Study participants were followed for 10 years for the development of heart disease and other death from any cause. The study confirmed that marriage is good for men's health. Compared with unmarried men, husbands were nearly half as likely to die during the follow-up period. So it says that men do very well in marriage compared with unmarried men. Researchers also found that men whose wives came home from work upset about their jobs were 2 times as likely to develop heart disease as men with less work-stressed wives. So the study also found that men who have wives that come home and complain, they were 2.7 times as likely to develop heart disease. So this talks about the relationship between a husband and a wife have. So husbands are stressed if their wives are stressed, and husbands do get or are more likely to have heart disease if they have wives that are stressed and come home from work stressed. This idea that stress is killing us inside these marriages is so important. And what I would like to know is like the men who are now having like heart disease or more likely to have heart disease with wives that work outside the home and they're coming home stressed and they're complaining. Are these men, it sounds to me that they're probably highly empathic, very sensitive, very intuitive, and they're upset that their wives are upset, and that makes them feel out of control. Really important study. It's possible, Eker and her team suggest, that a wife's problems on the job could be upsetting to a husband because he is unable to protect her in this arena. Think about survival. When it comes to the lion of the tribe, it's the lion's job, i.e. the male in the group amongst all of these lionesses, to protect them from another lion. Outside the home in a work environment, the husband or the lion of the pride of the group cannot protect his wife, and it makes him feel very unsafe, very destabilized. Attention has been focused on changing the roles of women. They note in the July-August issue of Psychosomatic Medicine, the changing roles and expectations of husbands and men also needs to be scrutinized and understood. The findings underscore the importance of healthy communication within a marriage, Eker says, although she does urge other research confirm the results before we make a lot out of them. Nevertheless, she concludes, both spouses really need to allow another person a safe environment to express feelings when they're in conflict, both for their own health and the health of the relationship. The other thing that I want to say here is absolutely true. Since I'm a little girl, the roles of men and women have completely changed. Completely changed. And I think that we're still in that evolution. We're still trying to figure that out, where women are working outside of the homes and women are still the ones with the uterus trying to keep the species going, okay? And they still get their periods at work. And we still have all of these other things that we have to take care of while we are the sex responsible for the procreation of the species. Okay, fine. So women are working outside the home, very, very stressful. And they are of the let's say a man and a wife in this situation, they are the ones that are supposed to continue creating the species. I mean, that's so stressful. And it's so stressful. And I don't think it's appreciated enough. It's not appreciated enough. I mean, the demands on a woman are incredible. Now, that being said, our role is changing. Therefore, the roles of the men in our lives are also changing. So, in order for us to be successful in relationships, we all need to pay attention to how quickly our roles are changing. And we have to understand that there are differences between a man and a woman. There just are. Men are, in my opinion, I'm overgeneralizing. Please don't hate me and send me hate mail, okay? Okay, I'm just overgeneralizing. Just stick with me, okay? Just stick with me. So men generally, women are very good at multitasking, but when there's a problem, men want to know immediately how to fix it. That's why oftentimes talking to your husband, he feels powerless, like he is genetically and biologically wired to protect you. And so when you're dealing with an issue at work or with your mother, he wants to find the hammer and the nail and he wants to fix it so you feel better. That's not his fault. That's not his fault, right? Women, on the other hand, we want to talk about what's wrong and we want the other person to just hear us. That's why we need girlfriends, okay? That's why we need therapists or a life coach. That's why we go to our book club. Seriously, not that we should not be able to talk to our husbands, but we really want to understand as women and wives that if I share something with my husband, he's going to want to fix it and he can't fix it. I should not expect my husband to fix it. I have to understand as a wife, I need a safe space to just be able to talk and know that you hear me. And if we can as wives, because I am a wife, if we can as a wife express this to the men in our lives, I had a rough day, you don't have to fix anything, right? You don't have to fix anything. I just need a space where I can vent and I can talk about this and I can feel like I'm heard. And I just want you to know I'm going to take care of it. Because according to this, the hypothesis seems to be that men are not they don't feel like they're doing their role, right? So that's it. So it's like they're not doing their role. And so if their role is to like take care of their wife and they're upset at work and they can't fix it, that's going to cause a man some stress. And it makes sense. Sounds like a sensitive person who is concerned that he can't help his wife in this arena. But the idea that women are 4 times more likely to die because in a marital spat, they feel like they need to shut up are alarming statistics. And if you are someone who tends to self-silence or self-sacrifice, and you are someone who doesn't speak up, when your husband's upset, this is time for you to really acknowledge that in yourself and explore that. And certainly, in my opinion, certainly there are beliefs that are running around the subconscious mind that are tied to this idea that you are safer if you don't speak up. Now, this is ancestral for sure. Sure, it could be in our causal body. It could be our mother's stuff, our grandmother's stuff, our great-grandmother's stuff. Or it could be just what we've picked up along the way. It could be that we were raised in an environment where we understood as young women that if we spoke up, bad things happen and we need to be afraid. So that has to be flushed and brought to the surface. And certainly if I'm in a relationship where I am afraid to speak up, that is not something that I should ignore. That is something that I need to explore. It's something that I need to start thinking about. And I need to start talking to other people about this relationship experience in which I am so afraid of my spouse that I have to self-silence, because you will get sick. And that is, someone just asked me a question, what if marriage was renewable at least 2 to 3 years? I hope I can get that question back. Of the last born child, couples could renegotiate. I think this... in terms of what is marriage, marriage is a contract with the state, right? So we get married, we're in a binding contract, the state is tracking us, we're filing our income taxes together. I mean, that's what so much of a marriage is, a contract. It's like a business, right? So, but I don't think there's anything wrong with going into a marriage like understanding, like, we're going to be married for as long as it works. Like, for as long as it works. I don't need a marriage certificate to cause me, and yes, marriage for a lot of people say is for the raising of the children, but it could be argued that I don't need a certificate or a ceremony for me to be loyal to this union in which we've decided to create creatures, human creatures, and raise them together as a couple. And so that's something to think about. But certainly marriage certificates don't stop anybody from getting a divorce or anybody from having an affair, and they certainly don't guarantee that anybody is happy. And so we have to start thinking about this much more deeply. And we really want to consider the fact that women who self-silence are 4 times more likely to die than a woman who expresses her unhappiness towards her husband or her unhappiness towards a conflict. I mean, this is a serious, I think, human issue. It's a societal issue, and we need to explore it. Certainly my mother falls into that category, as I'm sure my grandmother did too. And my grandmother who took her life. She was married to an aggressive alcoholic. Talk about self-silencing yourself. I mean, if you identify as a woman who self-sacrifices or self-silences during a marital spat, you have to start taking this data seriously. You are 4 times more likely to experience depression, irritable bowel, and develop heart disease. You're 4 times more likely to die than somebody who is expressing herself. The question is why? Why are you self-silencing? There are many reasons. It might be the spouse that you're living with is in fact abusive. Okay, well, we have to start dealing with that at some point, the truth at one point, so that you can start expressing it and telling the truth. There are so many women that stay in relationships, highly successful women, even women in the military, judges, lawyers, and doctors, I've coached them, who stay in the marriage and they're embarrassed because they have such a level of success on the outside that they're embarrassed to admit that their marriage is failing, right? We forget that a toxic relationship is because you're married to a toxic person, okay? You cannot have a healthy marriage with a toxic person. Marriage becomes toxic because there's a toxic, abusive person in the relationship, right? So an apple isn't poisonous until you poison it, until it becomes toxic. So marriage is toxic because there's a toxic person in the marriage. A business relationship is toxic because one of the partners is toxic. We want to start calling it out. So if you are that person and you're married to somebody who you are afraid of, baby doll, don't ignore that for the rest of your life. Talk to someone, because expressing is going to save your life. Expressing your truth gets your energy flowing. It stops all this blockage. It stops all this suppression and this repression and this anger, and it stunts you. In terms of stress, you're under so much stress, and the blood cannot flow through your body when you're under stress. You're not maintaining a homeostasis. When you are this unhappy, you are in stress. That is not homeostasis. That's why we're dying. That's why we're dying. Women who self-silence. And I would imagine men who self-silence, it's the same thing. But this study is specifically mentioning women who are dying 4 times more than a woman who just complains and lets it out. Oh my God. You talk about expression being so important, the ability to express your unhappiness. Again, I want to drive home this point. This article is not paying attention to, it's not saying, oh, unhappy women die. They're saying women who don't express their unhappiness die. So journaling, important. Finding a support group, important. Going to therapy. Okay, but also be careful, please scrutinize your therapist. I had a therapist who told me I wasn't loving enough, I wasn't forgiving enough, and I didn't love God enough. Okay, until I finally found a therapist who was like, wow, you're codependent, and wow, you were raised by unrecovered adult children of alcoholics. Made all the difference in the world. Wait, I'm codependent? Mm-hmm. Wait, I have depression? Mm-hmm. Okay, so I was one of these women, right? I was on this road, and my body was already beginning to fail. And it was when the doctor said to me, if you fell asleep right now, you die. So I would have been a statistic. And I was only 33 at the time. I would have been a statistic. And it was when he said to me, if you close your eyes right now, because the asthma attack was so bad, you die. All I could think about was my children. And I thought, I am not leaving them. I am not leaving them. I had a 28-year-old sister-in-law who passed away and left 2 children behind. I know that mommies die young, and it was not going to be me. And that really, really lit a fire under my butt to figure out what the hell is going on between my ears. No more denial. I'm going to start speaking my truth, even if people get pissed off, because obviously me not speaking my truth is getting me sick and might take me from my kids. Holy Hannah. Holy Hannah. That's when I read Codependent No More. I read Pia Melody's Love Addiction. I read Nathaniel Branden. I read about 200 books in a spare, I don't think it was more than a year and a half, maybe 2 years. But I read as much as I possibly could. Healing the Shame That Binds You, the John Bradshaw stuff. I read everything Nathaniel Branden ever wrote. I got into the work of David Hawkins, Joseph Campbell, you name it, I read it. I got into spirituality and mythology, and it changed my life. Eventually learned that what was wrong with me was subconscious. So I had negative self-sabotaging scripts running at the subconscious level, and I didn't even know it. So your conscious mind is governed by the 95% of your subconscious mind. If you don't know what's running your ship, you can't change your life. I was fascinated that there's 3 parts to the mind: the subconscious, the conscious, and the superconscious. I wanted to embrace the superconscious. I wanted to be able to get to a higher state of consciousness, so much so that I could control what was being downloaded into the conscious mind and then into the subconscious mind, because I was not going to die an unhappy woman like my mother. And I dare say I am 60 years old. I have never been happier in my life. I love life. I have figured it out. If I died tomorrow, I would say to myself, Lisa, you did it. You broke through the veil, baby girl. You figured it out. And you helped a lot of people along the way. We have over 700,000 subscribers on YouTube. We have over 80 million views on YouTube. I have about almost 1 million followers across social media. I have 7 books. I have a 3-course program, the Conscious Healing Academy. Over 5,000 people have come through our doors and are undergoing conscious healing training. Are you kidding me? My mom died this way, not me. And I teach people how to not die this way. I teach people how to live well, heal themselves well, so that they can die well, okay? And I will tell you this, facing your mortality, understanding you will croak. You're gonna croak. You're not getting out of here standing up, okay? None of us are. When you face that reality, then you take on a completely different mindset around your life. Everything that you say matters. The people that you hang out with matter. The people that you talk with matter. The people that you listen to matter. The people that you spend time with, it suddenly matters. The people that you don't want to tolerate anymore, you suddenly have the chutzpah and the courage to say, no, I don't think I have to hang out with you. Your life suddenly matters when you start to realize, I'm going to croak. And that is what happened to me. When I realized that I was so close to death with this asthma attack, and I realized that I could be taken from my children, I was like, oh, hell no. Like, suppressing my truth is keeping me stuck and it's making me sick, and I could be taken from my children. I have to start expressing. And I can tell you it's not easy, because when you start expressing as a woman who has self-silenced and stuffed her emotion and has been governed by cognitive dissonance because of gaslighting and stonewalling and all that jazz, it is so brave of you to start opening your mouth, because you are breaking through walls. You are rocking the boat. You are being scrutinized. And if they tried to shut you up before, with their condescending comments, with passive aggressiveness. It is full on smear campaign. It is full on, they're going to come together and try to like suppress you. Because if you escape, then that threatens their ecosystem. If you escape and you start telling the truth, they might lose grip on the facade that they're sharing with everybody else. If you break free and break through and prove that you ain't batshit crazy, then all the gaslighting and the smearing and the triangulation that they've done to justify why they treat you poorly, it kind of flies in their face. So when you start to speak up as someone who has self-silenced, you need to be prepared. Not that you can fix it, not that you can change it, but you can mentally and emotionally prepare yourself for being not for the attacks that are going to come. Right? That's why I created Shutty Shutty, Namaste, walk away. I give you permission to think whatever you want. I give you permission to not understand where I'm coming from, right? I give you permission to have your own opinion. I give you permission to feel what you want to feel. I give you permission. And that has really worked in my life. And that, for me, it was healing from my inner child wounds, healing from abandonment, confronting codependency, this fact that I didn't have an identity, that my identity was screwed up, was tied to what was happening outside of me, waiting to do enough good works and waiting for someone to validate me. Absolutely bananas, absolutely bananas. And healing that at the subconscious level, looking at my relationships as for clues as to how codependency was manifesting, learning to observe my thoughts so I could more objectively recognize, like, oh, where am I still messed up here? Where am I still operating from the ego? Where am I still operating from programming? And in every situation, how could I be more authentic? How can I be more compassionate towards myself and others? How can I be more self-loving and put up boundaries with people who prefer that I don't? Not easy stuff. But this study, I think, is something that should be plastered across every post office. It should be front page news. We should not stop talking about this. We should talk about it in our AA meetings. We should talk about it in our ACOA meetings. We should talk about it in our CODA meetings. We should talk about it in the NA and SA meetings. We should be talking about this study. Staying silent in marital spats is a killer for women. It's a killer for women. What is it? It's not saying the marriage is a killer. It's saying not expressing your feelings during a marital spat is a killer. Non-expression, therefore suppression, repression, and denial is what's killing women, okay? So I really hope that this has been helpful. I hope that it sparked some internal dialogue, some self-reflection, and I hope that it has really given you cause to pause. I know that my mother died this way. Both my grandmothers died because of this, and I can tell you that I was on the path to this as well. I was getting sicker and sicker and sicker. And now when I go to the hospital and nurses say to me, so how's your asthma? I say, I divorced it. I divorced it. Right? How are your migraine headaches? Oh, I divorced that too. How about your stomach issues? They're gone. Any more rashes? Nope, they're gone. I mean, I'm not joking. I mean, I really mean it. I had all of these issues, and healing codependency, healing the inner child, getting super conscious, working on myself, understanding the laws that govern time and space. So Michelle wants to know the name of the study. Staying Silent in Marital Spats, a Killer for Women. And it was published in 2007 by Anne Harding. So that's the name. It was released through Reuters. And I think that's the way you pronounce it. And it's a fascinating study. And like I said, it should be plastered everywhere. We should be talking about this. Why? Because we need to encourage people to tell their truth. You're unhappy because you're not telling your truth. You're unhappy because you want something and you're not living in accordance with your truth, right? So there's so many life lessons here. If I want something, let's say I want a house. Okay, I want that house. Am I living in accordance with that house? Am I saving money? Am I doing what I need to do, taking actions to make that happen or not? Right? So I'm not living an authentic life if I want that thing, but I'm operating out of accordance with gaining that thing. Do I want a loving relationships? Well, if I really want a loving relationship, but I keep playing with these Joe Blow bananas along the way, and I know they're not loving relationships, who's pushing the design? Who's pushing my divine mate away? Me, right? I said I want this divine experience, right? I'm saying that I want this loving experience. I'm saying that I want this divine partner, but I'm playing with all of these bananas along the way, right? I have to delay gratification for this long-term goal and become a magnet for that. But it all goes back to being the authentic self. If I don't express my authentic self to myself, if I keep allowing things to distract me, whether it's, and it ends up with me not honoring my authentic self, then I can't get in touch with my truth. It's so important that you tell yourself the truth. Start there. If you're too afraid to tell someone else that you're unhappy, at least start telling yourself that you're unhappy. Go to the library and write in your journal. And then if you can't take the journal home because you're afraid that, your spouse might find it, then have them shredded at the library. But at least for that hour, you are expressing your true self. This is magical. Tell your truth, especially if it hurts, because staying silent in marital spats is a killer for women. And this is actually a 10-year study of nearly 4,000, I believe 3,682 men and women that were studied. So if you'd like to learn more about how we can help you, visit www.lisaaromano.com. I have a bunch of free resources. I also have coaching programs and audio books and audio programs available, as well as individual courses that make up the Conscious Healing Academy. Please join my newsletter if you have not already done so, www.lisaaromano.com. I send out weekly newsletters. I send out free PDFs in my newsletters. And if you haven't joined my Facebook group, please look me up on Facebook. This Saturday, I am actually having a live stream on Insight Timer, and you are welcome to join me. Mary just said, Lisa, I would like to take this opportunity to say hi and thank you so much for the great work that you are doing. I just want to say thank you also to yourself. I hold the flashlight. I share what I've learned. I think that if I would have had the information that I share in the way that I share it, the very pragmatic, very no nonsense way that I share it when I was 33, I would have saved myself so much bullshit. There would have been so much bullshit. So many people I wouldn't have dated. Oh my God. So many men that I would have next, pass the butter. I would not have engaged with them. I would not have, but then I wouldn't have the wisdom that I have. And I wouldn't have the desire to share this, right? Because knowing what happens when you are codependent, you are below the veil, knowing what happens, and it happens by default, and knowing how much pain that brings to somebody, lights a fire under my butt to wake up early and to do what I do, to write the newsletters, to write the books, to improve the courses, to have live classes, to do live streams on Insight Timer, to continue to create meditations, to continue to create neuroscience-backed journaling exercises, and so on. So if I can save somebody out there, the stress that I went through, it is all freaking worth it. It's all worth it. And so thank you so much for being here. Go to my website, get your free stuff, get your free resources. And by all means, join me this Saturday on Insight Timer. It's a free meditation app. You can join my meditation group called the Breakthrough Meditation Group. Again, a free app. I also have a Love in the Self app. It's $2.99 in the App Store. You get daily text messages from me. I mean, so many free resources. We live in an age where there is no excuse to not throw yourself into personal development work. We're coming out of the age, I believe, of thinking that we can live life separate from the self, that money can make us happy, or materialism can make us happy, or isolation can make us happy. I think we're shedding that. I think we're realizing that the only way to be happy is to be authentic. And you can't fix holes in the walls that you can't see. And if you are not living an authentic life because of childhood trauma, dear one, that is not your fault. But until you work that out, you're not going to live an authentic life. You're going to live your programmed life. You're going to live the life of ego. You're going to live the life of survival. It doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way. Thank you so much for being here. I hope that this study has proved helpful for you. And go look it up and see what you think. And share it with your friends and express it with other people. People should know about this article and this study. It's absolutely life-changing. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being a subscriber to this channel. When you like, share, and subscribe, you let the algorithm know that you value this work, which is so important because last month or a month ago we were hacked. Yeah, some freaking narcissist hacked my channel and went live about Bitcoin. Tui tui. How dare you? How dare you? How dare someone do that? That is such a violation. But thank goodness we work with YouTube, and they were very, very swift in getting the channel back and in helping me get back online. But the algorithm is very much delayed. So you just showing up live and you liking, sharing, and subscribing, clicking the notification bell, and leaving a comment definitely helps me to get back in the flow in sharing this information. Mwah! You are enough. As I bow to the love and light that is absolutely in you. Until next time, bye everybody. Thanks for being here. You are enough. Bye.